Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I believe in Sean Combs. And like I said, I'm standing with him until proven guilty. But I believe in the case of Sean Combs, when I listen to the sex acts that took place at these freak-offs, for him, for Cassie, I'm going to go with Shannon Sharp with the sex play, right? Slave plantation play. These men experienced deep, profound emotional wounds as children. Puffy's sex addiction, Cassie's sex addiction, Shannon Sharp's slave plantation role play addiction. These are addictions that developed because they use sex as their outlet to deal with their unaddressed psychological wounds. Do you feel me?
Yes.
If I was able to get Puffy on that couch alone for 2 hours, me and Puff, I promise you I could find out what the real problem is that you're trying to drown out with your sex off, with your freak offs.
Yes.
The freak offs are an escape from reality.
Yes.
Shannon Sharp's sexual role play with Gabrielle Asu Ninjas, that's an escape from your psychological pain. Anytime you see people engaging in extreme, repeated sexual behavior, this is a drug. This is a sedative.
Yeah.
This is my
It's
escape.
the heroin. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Puffy,
And that's why
what
I
are
say
you running
that-
from?
that-
Cassie, what are you running from? Shannon Sharp, what are you running from? I personally believe with my brother Shannon Sharp, no disrespect to him because I think he's a good guy. I think Shannon is fundamentally a good guy. I don't get bad energy from him. He hate himself though. Shannon needs some deep-seated racial healing therapy, bro. Because you already said the black girls called you ugly.
Yeah.
And then you turn around and let the white girl treat you like a ninja.
Goodness gracious.
Low self-esteem. Money can't fix that.
Right. Yeah, nah, for sure. When we're dealing with Diddy in particular, for people who are unaware, you have to be living under a rock. Diddy is on trial for a RICO and several other charges in the Southern
Interstate
District.
sex trafficking, interstate prostitution.
Interstate sex trafficking.
The Mann Act in particular.
Yeah, I know about that Mann Act, and I
Because
know
they
used
created
it against
that.
the boxer.
Jack Johnson.
Yes.
They created it for Jack Johnson
Yes.
because he openly paraded around white women.
Yes.
Right? This is in the 1920s.
Yes.
This is Garvey time. You ain't even have no civil rights.
He was
And this
on-
black guy, and by the way, I think they killed him. Remember, he died in a car accident. Tragic car accident.
okay.
I think they cut his brake line.
Back then, they
I
did
think they
shit
killed
like
him.
that.
I think
Yeah,
Jack
yeah.
Johnson was murdered.
Right.
But he prayed around with these white women, so the feds came up with the Mann Act, which was also called the White
Slavery.
Sex Trafficking
Yeah,
Act.
yeah.
If you take a woman across state lines, right, to have sex, that could be considered interstate prostitution. Now, let me tell you how they changing the game with Puff. This is important for every black man in America, you, me, because we know women across state lines, do we not?
Yes.
Pay attention to this Puff trial. Because what I think they're trying to do with the Mann Act now is I think they are trying to create a new precedent in law.
Yes. With
Where
Diddy.
with Diddy.
Yes.
But it's going to affect us all.
Yes.
Where if a woman flies in to see you, Loon, this just lady friend.
Yeah, it's
You ain't
regular.
paying for no
Yeah.
sex. This is we getting to know each other. This is regular romance. If she crossed state lines, you can be charged with the Mann
Yes.
Act. Do you know how many black men would go to jail? Because they're not going to use it on white men.
Right.
They're not going to use it on yellow men.
And it's about when
the
they
law
use
has
it.
always been selectively applied.
Exactly.
Imagine how many black men
Exactly.
could be brought up on charges if a woman ever flew in from another state to spend time
That's
with you.
every day.
That's
That's
every day.
everybody.
But they trying to set it up.
That's what I'm saying. And
They
they
trying-
have to set precedent with Diddy. So if they can blur the lines,
And guess what else they got to set? To your point with the precedent, we need black people to co-sign it.
right.
Listen to all the black women who's saying he need to suffer.
Right.
Black men who's saying he need to suffer.
Yeah.
If you let them convict Puff on the Mann Act with no evidence of forced sex trafficking or activity, where you basically say convict him just because somebody crossed state lines to have a freak off, all of us can end up with federal charges.
What do you say to Cassie's testimony? What's your thoughts on how Cassie has handled herself, some of the allegations she's made? Does she come off as truthful to you, or how do you feel about
I didn't watch, but I read the reports.
You can't watch. All you
Right.
can do is read.
Right. I believe she was as much a freak as Puff was.
If not more. At
If not
points.
more.
Yeah.
Anybody who wants to claim that she was purely a victim is in denial. Loon, there's no way. I don't care how much grooming. You're not a child. You're a grown woman, and you mixed race on top of that, so you got a white parent. You feel? There's no way you're doing all of this if you don't want to.
Do you think that?
No way.
From a psychologist standpoint,
Not for a woman with a white parent.
what about the Stockholm syndrome thing that people are trying to
that's
parade
very real.
around?
I believe that all of that bears some truth in this case, but cannot be completely explained by it. Here's the problem I had with the Cassie supporters, right? And I empathize with the sister as well because Puffy did take advantage of her.
Yeah.
The problem I'm having, Loon, is I'm seeing people go out of their way and make excuses for her because she's not an all-black woman. If Cassie wasn't light-skinned and mixed race, do you really think she would be getting this type of sympathy from the black community or the America at all? No.
Right.
It's because she was mixed race that people are coming to her aid. If this was Lizzo in this case, you feel me? She wouldn't get half the sympathy. She would be called a gold digger, and if you didn't want to be there, you could have left. You feel me? Yes.
I didn't think about
Black
that.
women don't give black women that type of support. This is only happening because Cassie is mixed race. Yes.
And but there's a lot of people who are, so from a psychologist standpoint, can you explain even what Stockholm syndrome means to people?
Stockholm syndrome is when someone grooms you, dominates, destroys you to the point where they eliminate any imagination or memory of you being independent or wanting independence. You start to depend on them. You start to rely on them. They become your world, and you start to believe that you cannot exist without them, despite the fact that they are punishing you, manipulating you, and putting your life in danger. Our enslavement in America, post-traumatic slavery disease, is a form of Stockholm syndrome.
Okay.
It's the most pronounced form,
Right.
but it's a form of Stockholm syndrome.
Okay. So
It's basically brainwash.
Right.
Cut you off from the world, what any domestically abusive man does.
Right.
I'm going to cut her off from her family. I'm going to cut her off from her friends. I'm going to cut her off from her church, her social network, right?
Right.
And I'm going to remake her world because the brain is what? The victim of repetition. I don't care how intelligent you are. The brain is not conditioned on intelligence alone.
Right.
This is why you say, why some of our greatest black scholars had white wives. I'm talking about African-centered scholars. Sheikh Anta Diop, the black man who proved that the mummies in Egypt was black, had a white wife. You know why? Because intellectual knowledge is one thing. Deep-seated unconscious conditioning is something else. Stockholm syndrome is deep-seated unconscious conditioning. What did Adolf Hitler say?